Hey everybody, it's me, and how's everything going? It's just another episode of AnKorage Extras, and so I don't have anything really major going on. I was looking through some old videos that I did some time back, and I came across one. One of my first ones. Well, not one of my first ones, but, my second go-around. Back in the end of 2016, early 17, I actually bought myself my first Raspberry Pi. That's these little computers. Not the case, the board. I bought the board, and I bought a case, and I put it in, and I got it all connected. And what I used this for was I used to play Minecraft, the Java edition, so the ones for on computers, the original, the best, and there we are. So all of you console players, yeah, it's great for those and everything like that, but the true heart of Minecraft is in the Java, and therefore I believe it to be the best. So I was looking around that time that I bought this, that I wanted to find a way where I could actually host a server for Minecraft using a Raspberry Pi, and I happened to come across that, and it was a project called Craftbian. So it's built on the old Raspbian operating system that you can get for these right from the Raspberry Pi Foundation. So it was built on that, and it was headless, meaning no monitor, no keyboard, no mouse. You could just have it on here and just run it and just let it go. You could access everything administratively using a web browser. So, and I'll let what's coming up actually describe that better, because way back then I did some videos, my first videos. So I was on my personal account, and I did it on there, and of course those videos, they are long gone, and that's mainly because the Craftbian project went stale and ultimately went end of life. In other words, it was abandoned. It's abandonware at this point, and so this unit was my testing unit for that. I helped with user testing, and I also helped out with some development in not active development with code or anything, but with end user functionality. And I would bring up ideas, and the guy would actually incorporate some of those ideas, if not most of them, possibly all of them. But we did that, and we had a very good product, and the guy was only charging like $5. So because Raspberry Pi, and it's like, yeah, he'd like to get a little bit of money for it, just a little bit of acknowledgement monetarily for it, and so he charged something like €5 and $5, because he's in Denmark. And his name is Daniel Jorgensen, and it's been so long. So I helped him out for a couple of years, and I did testing on this. This is a Raspberry Pi 2, and the first one I ever bought, and I eventually upgraded to Raspberry Pi 3s, which I still have those units. They're over there. They're part of my data center, as you call it. I've got 2 file servers, and then I've got 2 other Raspberry Pi 3s in the cluster case that don't do anything. They're just there for, if I have a project come up that I want to participate in, or or do, or something like that. So, I helped out Daniel by creating these videos, and they were I thought they were decent, and but they went stale, and after a couple of years. So what I did was I did some new videos, and I titled them Craftian Redux. So basically, I went back and redid those videos, a little newer, and I had one which is just a general thing about it, with just a little bit of high-level descriptions of things, and then I've got individual videos for individual pieces where we look a little deeper into those functions, or that functionality that the web interface provides for administrating Minecraft servers on these guys. But the timing of that the stale project went stale was somewhat, I don't want to say perfect, but it just happened to fall in line with what was happening at Mojang, or Mojang, however you want to pronounce it. I say Mojang because, it's Norwegian or something to that effect, I think. And the J is pronounced as a Y, so a Y sound. But the guy that goes by the online name of Notch sold the property of Minecraft to Microsoft. So, and then of course from that point on, Microsoft went Microsoft on it, and I ended up no longer playing because of Microsoft and what they were doing. They were incorporating the login process with Microsoft accounts, meaning you needed to have a Microsoft account just to log in to play Minecraft. And that's very much in effect today, and I keep receiving emails from Mojang saying, hey, this has been moved over, so go ahead and use it, stuff like that. I had 2 accounts myself. I had my own personal one, then I had one for the home, and it's, when all of that happened, everything like that, I just stopped. And my involvement in the Craftian project ceased at that time, and what the project itself was already done. It was all over. So I went and I took those Raspberry Pis from over there, and I archived all of the SD cards that are in them, and excuse me, I archived everything and I put them away, so I still have everything. I just have them filed away on static data storage archiving that I've got in my Linux Mint LMDE machine, which is my daily driver, but that is also where I did everything for Craftian. I did it through that from the Linux approach. So this machine is the Windows machine, so this is where I talk like this, and I do my videos, and I play my one game. So I went and I did these videos, and what I wanted to show you in this video was one of those videos, the very first one, the top one, from the Redux series, where I went back and I made things a lot prettier and stuff like that. I did alter my voice a little bit, so it's a couple of notes deeper, and it actually sounded really good, so I left it. And it's completely intelligible. You can hear it clear as day, and and it looks a lot like a PowerPoint presentation, because that's how everybody approaches it. Oh, what's the PowerPoint? I don't use PowerPoint. I don't use Microsoft products. I use Libre, or free and open source software. So using the LibreOffice Office Suite, there's an application in there called Impress, which works just like PowerPoint, if not better. That if not better part would be free and open source, but it functions just fine. And I went ahead and I created an Impress presentation, and I take the viewer through and talk about Craftian a little bit, and I wanted to share that because I dug it out on the Linux machine, and I copied it over to my my data center box that I've got for my use, which is called Aurora, which is what the name of this was originally. This was originally named Aurora, And now that's the host. That was the host name of it. This doesn't have that name anymore. It's actually on the active unit, which is there, which actually did at one point host a Minecraft server, but of course, like I said, I archived that. I have another one on there called Uppsala. That is, and that was also a Minecraft server as well. That's been archived. I had a third one called Geffian. That's in there, but that of course got archived, and the Pi is in that case. And then I have a fourth one that I had as a spare that I ended up naming Coas, after the Coas County here in New Hampshire, which is the most northern county, because it's to give that New Hampshire recognition, and the region of Coas is just beautiful. It's a fantastic region, and there's not many people up there, which I think is really great in most respects, because it's got less people. There's some great things to see up there. Santa's Village is up there. In fact, there is a roller coaster that I rode when I was a kid out in Hudson that was called Benson's, the park. And when that place closed down back in '87, that coaster got sold to Santa's Village, and now it's up there in Jefferson. So that's pretty cool. And then I think the Polar Caves are up there. I think Jellystone Park is up there. Oy, there's a lot up there. Coas is fantastic. So anyone that happens to be in New Hampshire, go up and go up into Coas County. You can even go into Carroll County and Grafton, I think it is. Those counties, they're wonderful. They've got great things in them, and there's a lot of great nature and a lot of forest. Of course, there's trees. The place is full of trees, and a lot of the land up in Coas happens to be owned by, what was it, like Dartmouth College or something like that. There's a couple of grants, a lot of unincorporated territories or townships and things of that sort. So, anyways, getting off track. But to get back on track to Craftbean, I just wanted to go ahead and I want to share that video and play that for you here, and kind of show you a little bit about, talk a little bit about what I did back then. That was, at this point, 6 years ago. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at that?
Welcome everybody, it's CraftQuest Craftbean Redux. Let's get started. Craftbean was developed by Daniel Jorgensen, and I say Jorgensen because that's the proper pronunciation of the name. It's kind of like, for folks in the States, take the word fjord. Now that's got a J in it. We don't say fjord, do we? There you go. CraftQuest Craftbean Redux is produced, recorded, edited, and narrated by me, Shadowstrike of Hawker Vendor Video. Disclaimer. And we get right into Redux. What is needed? You need a Raspberry Pi microcomputer. Some folks may actually call it a project board. Now my recommendation is that you use a Raspberry Pi 3 Model B, not the B+. There's a difference in architecture in the processor. If you look in the image to the left, that's a Raspberry Pi 3, and if you see that black processor chip thing, it says Broadcom on it, that's the processor. So Raspberry Pi 3 Model B is 32-bit architecture. The B+ uses a 64-bit processor, and there's your difference. A benefit to a Raspberry Pi is that it's no bigger than a credit card. It does need a case, a mini USB power cord, and also you need to have an Ethernet cable, either category 5 or category 6. I prefer the 6 because it's gigabit capable. Now, for folks that may not want to, may not be able to just buy an individual piece and have all the other parts sitting around, or buy it all separately, there are kits available. Another thing that you would need on the Windows side of things is the Win32 Disk Imager. What this allows you to do is to burn Craftbean onto a micro SD card, because you need that. And it's also available on SourceForge. It's free, doesn't cost anything, so that's a good thing. Another benefit is when we get to the backup part. I'll tell you about that then. Now, what is Craftbean? It's an all-in-one software suite to administrate personal Minecraft servers. It uses a web dashboard style of control, so everything's done through a web page. There's plug-and-play simplicity. You plug it in, you wait 5 minutes, and you've got it right there. You can DIY different servers using the Minecraft server, Forge, Spigot, so on and so forth. Now, Craftbean is also headless, meaning it does not require the use of a separate monitor, keyboard, or mouse. You can just use it as it is, because you use a web page to actually do everything in regards to administering separate servers. You can use plugins and add-ons. It's great for families and friends, and you can host your Minecraft servers from your own home, and your families and friends, family members and friend folk that live elsewhere can remotely connect. So let's go. We've got this little picture here on the left. This is a picture of my actual first Raspberry Pi. It is a Raspberry Pi 2, which will also run Craftbean. And I actually use that unit as my testing unit. And you insert the micro SD card into the Raspberry Pi. It is located over on the left of that unit, down towards the bottom. And you plug in the Ethernet cable. That's that blue thing. Plug in the power. That's the black cord. Allow a few minutes for boot up and server startup. Now, how to actually navigate to Craftbean? Well, you want to open up a browser. You could type craftbean.local, but if that doesn't happen to work, you can go around the other way, which I actually like and trust a little better. That is opening up the router software. And then you need to find your network, and you want to find the LAN connections. You want to find the host name of Craftbean in all caps. You want to write down or copy the IP address, and it looks like a 192.168.something.something. Using this, enter it instead of Craftbean local into the browser address bar. And here's a tip: set it as a static IP. That's for the sake of the folks that live outside the home connecting in. Now, when logging in, you're brought to the first page, and what you see here is on the left here. This will be in the center of the page. You want to use the default name of admin, and the default password is pass. Simple enough. You do want to change this. Now, the page navigation up at the top of every single page is basically a button for each function and setting page. And the server offline button off to the far right is essentially a toggle to either start or stop a server, and it indicates what the current status of a server is, and you can just click on it to start it up if you wish. On the home screen, if you log in without a server actually running, it's going to look like this, and that's the image on the left there. If you come in and there's one already going, or you have just started up a server while inside, it looks like this. The servers page, you can create, delete, edit, migrate servers. Now, as far as the migrate goes, it's basically copying a server or duplicating it. That way you have one server that you don't have anything changed, and you can mess around with the other one. And if you look at the image over here, you've got your server selection up top, and you've got the details of that server down below. The settings page, Craftbean and hardware settings. When you look at the menu over on the left side of that, it says Craftbean settings. That's for Craftbean specific settings. Then it says time zone settings, power schedule, storage, and host name. Those are hardware settings for the actual Raspberry Pi. And then you have users. That's Craft being specific as far as users and administrators. The backup page, settings for backing up Craft servers. You can actually use this to back up a server. You can also download them. You can also delete any that have been created. You can also back up the Craft settings. One benefit that I would like to say on this one is, it's good to back up a server. You might need to use it again in the future, refer back to it. But going back to the WinDisk 32 is you're taking an image and you're burning it onto an SD card, or a micro SD card, excuse me. You can actually back up a Raspberry Pi by actually taking an image of a micro SD card and keeping that tucked away handy someplace, so that if anything happens, you can just reformat the whole thing and burn a fresh copy on there, and you are just turn it on and away you go. Now the About page. It's got some useful information about Craftbean. It also performs Craftbean software updates. You also can receive important news and announcements. This is from, and that would be from the developer directly from his home. And that is basically it. Keep up with CraftQuest. I use Mastodon. There's also a Birdside Mirror, which happens to be Twitter. I don't do anything on Twitter. I do not converse with anybody on Twitter. I have no purpose to use Twitter. But I wanted to reach a wider audience, so I mirror what I post on Mastodon. If you wish to converse with me, you must set yourself up on Mastodon at joinmastodon.org. You can also go to CBA Today, which belongs to Dan, the developer, and it's got a lot of useful information about crafting in there. And there's some other fun stuff in there. And just as a heads up, it contains both English and Danish. Now, the crafting stuff is all in English. Everything else is in Danish. So if you want to read anything about Danish, if you already know it, great. If you don't know Danish, you can use a translator. It's just simple. Dan, I like your bike. It's really cool. And that is the end of this production of CraftQuest Craftbean Redux. We hope you enjoyed it. Well, I hope you enjoyed it.
So, what did you think? That was, that one was done, as I noticed in the lower left-hand corner. It said Hawk Render Video 2020, so that was when I made that video. So that was at this point 3 years ago. And the Hawk Render Video no longer exists. So basically, the AnKorage is the replacement for that. So, and there's some data that may be somewhat inaccurate, which I apologize for. But about the Raspberry Pi 3s versus the B pluses, 32-bit versus 64. It's like I hadn't looked too deep into it, so I think I was somewhere in the ballpark. But then again, I may not have been. Whatever. But it was fun to put those together, and it's like, I did QA, quality assurance. That is me. I'm a QA analyst, and I mean, at this point, I haven't worked in QA for about as long, about 6 years, and it's what I did before that. I used to work in chargebacks or credit card disputes, so I have some pretty in-depth knowledge about card regulations, MasterCard, Visa, namely. Granted, it's been since before 15, because I did QA for 5 years or so ish, roughly. And that's before the company that I worked for decided to leave New Hampshire, and I wasn't leaving New Hampshire, so I chose to stay. And also, I've got other reasons, which some of my acquaintances and colleagues know about. which I'm not going to talk about here. But I worked in that kind of thing. So a lot of my office-like work, like with Impress and such like that, comes from those chargeback days. And I trained people how to process chargebacks. And that was from the approach of what we call an acquirer. Basically, a merchant acquirer is the business that processes card transactions for a merchant. And in the big scheme of the credit card process and chargebacks and disputes, the acquirer is the losing side most of the time. Do they win things? On occasion, usually from technicalities. The issuers is where it's at. So it's like if, as a card holder, you win. It has to be a very particular set of circumstances should you happen to lose a dispute. But anyways, I've got a former co-worker that happens to live in the complex here, that lives in the other part of the complex, that I lost track of after I moved over to QA and doing QA work with the computer systems, and I had a focus on the chargeback systems and functionalities for documentation and the interface and stuff like that. Which we used a lot of Linux for, a lot of MySQL, or not MySQL, but SQL in general. We used Toad for that. In fact, about a month ago, I asked my former coworker, "Hey, what was that? I can't remember, but what was the name of that application that we used to control jobs? Kick off jobs in Unix from operations and stuff like that." And she said, "Oh, Control M, that's what you're talking about." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's it. Forgot about it." That was the one application I forgot, because we used stuff like MKS and all kinds of stuff. But that was all that stuff. This was this what I had shown you was a video I did from my days in QA, and regarding Craftbian, which essentially, when you look at it, it's kind of like the way that it was written and the way that's coded and the way that goes in. I mean, it's like I've got my 2 right here, and I put it on this little guy, and it was basically its own operating system for a Raspberry Pi. So it's basically, you could call it Craftbian OS, because it was pretty much a very dedicated operating system for the Raspberry Pi to host personal Minecraft servers. And that was a lot of fun to do. I actually enjoyed that a lot. If things if things happen differently with Microsoft, or at all, then I may still be using Minecraft today. But of course, the guy there, Notch, he regretted it, selling Mojang, or the Minecraft property, over to Microsoft. He basically regretted it and said if I had the choice to go back and change it, I would have. Or if I go back and make the decision not to sell it, I wouldn't have sold it. Well, you reap what you sowed, so there you go. So this edition of Extras is just kind of like a little reminiscing about what I did before the AnKorage, and just wanted to kind of show you one of the videos. And I do have other videos regarding the individual sections of that OS, of that administration dashboard. And it's like, if anyone is interested in seeing those videos, let me know down below, or reach out to me on Mastodon and or Akoma for that matter, and let me know. So, and I would gladly go ahead and put them up. I would make a project card for it and put it in the production mill of sorts. I actually keep track of it using this route, using cards and tasks for project management. since I don't use Taiga anymore. So there we go. And let me know what you thought of that video, and let me know if you would like to see anything further. And if I don't see anything or hear anything, then I'm not gonna bother. Why should I? I've got other things. I've got other videos that I need to put together. There's a guy on the Linux Man chat forums that asked me when was the next Dinner Quest going to be coming out, and I'm like, oh well, I have an idea for that. And then I put it on the board. So I have a new Dinner Quest coming at some point. But of course, I only release one video a week. And that is at 5 p.m. on Fridays. If I get it made up, I'll just stick it in the line to be released. Today is a Wednesday. This one won't go out for a week and 2 days, so I'm slightly ahead, because most of the time I don't make anything longer than a 2-week drop, so there we go. I just have other stuff lined up, so there we go. So I'm gonna stop talking right now. So we're gonna move forward, and like I said, comment, like, subscribe, and let me know what you think about any more crafting videos. And I might resurrect the Craft Quest playlist that I used to have on my personal channel, which is like dead empty now because I removed those videos. But alright, so moving on. Enjoy the rest of the day, and we will talk to you later. So thank you very much. Skál.